To Campfire Talk Show. I'm your host, David Ubura, and I'm standing in for Alex, who is not here with us. She's on a vacation, of course, still doing duties of Campfire Talk Show. We expect her to be with us in a couple of weeks to come, but we want to say thank you for joining us this afternoon. Good morning to wherever you are, good afternoon, good evening. It's very interesting that you're joining us today. We are closing the year, and the stories are always growing big and big. When you look at the politics in Uganda, things are changing day in, day out. So there are so many things that we are going to look into today, and also look into what has happened this entire year, 2018. Today is 29, and so many stories that have happened since day 1, January, up to today. We remember the death of one of the greatest legends in the music industry in Uganda, Moses Radio, that happened this year. So it was a great loss to the entertainment industry, but also to our politics. We do remember he's the guy who was behind the Tubonganawe song. So there's so many stories that developed. And today, again, in our studio, we have the usual suspect, Hilary Taylor Seguya, and our new guest, Kazibwe. He's going to share with us a lot of stories that have happened, and of course, our discussion that we are going to break right at this moment. But for now, we want to say thank you again and keep on sharing the program. Invite as many friends as you can so that we don't lose out on anything. Guys, I want to say thank you for coming. Let me start with Harry. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you so much. I'm profoundly honored and exceedingly humbled to always be here and engage in the conversation about what's happening in our motherland, Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. As the year is coming to an end, we have a countdown of 2 days to come to an end, and I believe that majority of us are done with our resolutions for 2019, or some of our colleagues are still on a drawing board to see what to put on next year's resolutions. And I encourage those who haven't written down anything for next year's resolutions, it's not yet too late. You can sit down and put something on paper. I would like also to say greetings to all Ugandans who are watching us from all parts of the world. And also remember our brothers and sisters we lost in the tsunami that happened in Indonesia. And also those who are facing atrocities in our motherland, Uganda. We give you hope, and we believe that next year is going to be a year of action. We are going to fight for each and everyone to ensure that justice is given to each and every Ugandan.
Yeah. I want to say thank you, Harry. Because I can't go further. Let me say it again with you. How was your Christmas?
My Christmas was good. Yeah, it's just that not good right now. Why is because my friend here, Hillary, is being very optimistic. You can't really write down resolutions in a country where you cannot achieve anything. Everything you do is like, it's blocked. People are trying to come up with businesses, people are trying to come up with ideas, and you write resolutions this year, something stops them. You write them next year, and I mean, I can't be good, but I'm healthy, only that.
Thank you. Well, this year has been, again, a great year because we have seen a rise of Bobby Wine in the political arena of the country. We have seen many other musicians are also joining politics, but I don't want to go fast to that. I want to look into what has happened in Sudan, Upper Sudan, where Omar Bashir is the president. I'm sorry we have to go first to our neighboring country because that matters a lot to Uganda. there is a lot of fake news that has been spreading on social media that he has stepped down. But when they try to draw more research, different sources have told us, no, he's still the president. However, the opposition leader has been arrested and people don't know where he is. So let me start with Kazwe. What do you think about Sudan in just a few minutes?
What I think about Sudan is this is a long way coming for almost all presidents who overstay in power. When you overstay in power, every system, every institution, and every aspect, every policy that is supposed to move the country forward is going to fail. These presidents, they come in with good ideas, they come in with energy, and they come in with a lot of characteristics that we want in a leader. But then, when they overstay in power, these things keep on going downhill. It's the law of nature. When you do something, it goes up, and then after some time, it starts coming down. So the fake news, whether it is true or not, this is a long time coming for every president, including Museveni, that is overstaying in power. It is good for a country to have a president. You come in and you do what you can do and then go away. Whoever good you are, even if you're very productive, even if you do everything everyone wants, you need to go away so that new ideas come in, new energy comes in, and we want leaders who are gonna do that for us. So what I think about Sudan mainly right now is I don't care whether it's fake news. Actually, the first time I heard it, I was happy. I was like, this is a win for Africa. This is a win for Africa. I don't have anything against Bashir. But he needs to let people, he needs to let democracy go in, be in his country. And we need leaders who have overstayed in power to go, all of them. Yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I want to thank you. You didn't mention it first, but I think you had to tell people first that you are advocate for change. So, which is very interesting. Here, I don't want to go first to you, but let me first respond to some of the comments that are coming in here. Someone is asking, where is Sarah Joy? First, we want to apologize. Today, she's not here with us. Also, she wasn't feeling well, but she will be with us probably a few weeks to come. If not, next Saturday, she will be here and she will be sharing with us. But she's part of the show right now, so you can text her, say anything to her. She will be happy to hear from you, but she'll be here with us. So here, what's your take on Sudan?
Yes, I saw the story and I just know like it was a hoax story because, you know, with social media, it's very easy to get fake news circulating in a very short period of time. But again, with the subject of Sudan, you see the president, Omar al-Bashir, falls in the African club of dictators because himself, Museveni, the former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, go to Cameroon with Paul Biya. Those are the dictators that are putting our continent in a total mess. And you see, Omar al-Bashir, whatever he's doing, is learning it from President Museveni. So it is Museveni who is destabilizing this region. If you remember very well, there are full conflicts. Very many Sudanese lost their lives. Very many Sudanese were forced into exile. If you look at what's happening today with South Sudan, before South Sudan got its independence, because right now South Sudan is the newest country in the world after getting its independence. But again, over 500,000 Sudanese lost their lives. Thousands of them have been displaced because of this one man, Omar al-Bashir. And as I talk to you right now, Omar al-Bashir is on a warrant of arrest from the International Criminal Court. So they want him. He can travel freely to our country, Uganda, and they won't do anything to arrest him.
If I break it from there, isn't it like Western pressure that is taking place in Sudan?
Oh, of course, there are lots of actors that are, you know, trying to play in the politics of Sudan. But again, we can't negate from that fact that also the pressure from the West is playing a big part. But the biggest part is coming from the nationals. because they are tired, they are sick and tired of Omar al-Bashir, because many people have been suffering under that regime of Omar al-Bashir. And I believe hope, because we are seeing a trend of change coming on the African continent. So very soon you will see that however much he survived the Arab Spring, trust me, very soon he will be out of office. Just like the way we are also about to get a fundamental change in our country, Uganda, Omar al-Bashir is also soon leaving office by hook or crook, because we've seen Sudanese also uniting, having the same voice that we are tired of dictators. We want a new leader who can change their country. So I feel sorry for them, because we are in the same boat in terms of leadership, because we have serious tyrants that are cancers to our countries, and we have to do each and everything possible to ensure that we get fundamental changes in our respective countries.
All right, thank you, Harry. For you who is watching us live on Campfire TV or Uganda Crossroads, we want to say thank you again, and we ask you to send in your comments, questions, or even ask other members to join the program so that nobody misses this interesting show. Well, I want to answer a few questions that are coming in. Someone is asking, no girls today? Yes, no girls today, but girls will be joining us this coming weekend. Probably Sarah Joy will be back, and we hope another lady will also be joining. So we want to thank you for the questions that are coming in. Well, now let's focus on Uganda. The stories are still growing big in our politics, and I want to start with what is happening in our parliament. Because we know that term limits have to work everywhere, just as many politicians advocate for them. But it appears to be that the Kosasa leadership doesn't want to leave power, and they were supported by Rebecca Kadaga, the Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda. Let me start with Kazube. What would be your take in such a scenario?
I'll introduce myself again, just to be clear. I'm an advocate for change. This is what I believe in. Every problem stems from, the person will tell you the problem for Africa is corruption. I'll concentrate on Uganda. It's corruption. But how does corruption manifest itself in a system or a country? It's when a person knows they will not go. It's when a person knows they are here to stay. So they assume and they think what they are doing or whatever they do is not, one, it's not going to be accountable. They are not accountable to anyone. Two, they don't care what you think or do. That's why you find someone will stand in the parliament and make an outrageous statement. The other time, was it Eli Tumwine? He was asked about Bobi Wine's show. Why they are not happening, and he gave a very arrogant answer. To me, I found it very arrogant. He's like, it's what did he say? Industrial hazard?
No, occupational hazard.
Occupational hazard, that kind of thing. So, but when a person knows that they are in an office for a certain period of time, when you know you're going to be somewhere for 5 years, when you're going to be somewhere for 10 years maximum, you know that you're supposed to act a certain way and do certain things for example, for your legacy one and for the community. And if you know you're gonna go, it means you have to be accountable to your country, to your children, to the future of your country. So my take on, you said Kosase? Yeah. They need to know that when time is up for you, you need to go. You are not the bank of ideas. You are not the bank of policy. You are not the best. Kids are coming from Makere. We have over 32 institutions.
Right.
Yeah, and they all teach these kids to come up with very good policies for our country. We need those posts to be free at some point. We need someone you need to come from school, for example, look for a job. When you get a job, we need you to work hard to get promoted. And when you reach an extent, you need to retire and maybe start a business, and people come into your business and work in that business. But if you stay in that same position forever. That means that place is not ever going to be vacant. These people down here will never have jobs because you're stuck in that position, and you're not going away to start anything for the country. So you're not being productive.
I think I want to stop here from there and go to hearing. Now, we believe that there is an investigation going on. Our sources tell us that the Bank of Uganda investigations are still on, and these people are supposed to present a report after the investigations. So don't you think it's really okay for Kantuntu to remain as chairman of COSASA?
Yes, for me, I believe that because their task, first of all, is not yet accomplished.
Right.
Because the Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, put up this committee to, follow up the Bank of Uganda probe. Because as you know, our central bank right now has put us in an economic crisis. So we've lost billions and billions of monies, and we are silent about it. And, the chairman, COSASA, Honorable Abdul Kantuntu, is doing a very great job because he has exposed, the highest rate of corruption in our central bank. And for him to stop in the middle of the work, I think it will leave lots of loopholes in the task in this project of Bank of Uganda probe. Because you see, he exposed the way the Bank of Uganda, sold off the Tefe Bank, the way Bank of Uganda sold off Crane Bank, the way Bank of Uganda sold off Uganda Commercial Bank, and lots of other banks. So let's give them an extension of time in order to give us a full report. Because if you say that right now you're bringing in Mugatugwa Bata, Munyagwa, Honorable Munyagwa, because right now Munyagwa is the head of PAC. So if Munyagwa take over the unfinished tasks, then he may not give us a full report. I think we should give chance to this committee of Abdul Kantuntu with his team to finish up their report, because it's not going to take a lot of time. So it will take like 2 weeks, and they give us a full report. So why would you bring in? We're not in a rush, because if we've been listening, because Abdul Kantuntu is doing a very great job. And if we've been listening to them, and they bring the governor of Uganda, Mutebile, and also Sekabila, and this lady, what's her name? Bajenda. You could see that they're taking our country for granted. Because if you say that billions of Ugandan shillings have been, misused, and for you come before this COMESA committee, and you tell us that you don't even have minutes you used when you're selling off a bank, then it shows you where our country is going. And as Ugandans, we can't just leave this thing in the middle and bring in someone new. Because even the president himself has failed at finding a solution to this issue. Because if the president was to show us the level of seriousness of fighting corruption, first of all, his State House Anti-Corruption Unit would have put these guys in jail already. They would be coming from prison, Luzira prison, to the committee, COSASA committee, to tell us what happened, where was the money going, who are the guys who took all the assets of these banks. Because today we don't know who is owning the assets of Crane Bank.
But if I cut you from there, and I think I'll first go back to Kaziwe. One of the things that we're fighting against is overstaying power.
Yep, thank you.
So,
can I add on that a little bit?
Yeah, Kaziwe,
yeah.
yes.
My problem, I try not to compare Uganda to America, because that's a long way for us to go. You understand? But I'll give an example of America. I don't want us to trust in people. I want us to go beyond trusting a person. I want us to trust structures. I want us to trust institutions. I want us to trust policy. I don't care who's in a certain position. I want to trust the system is going to force them to do the right thing. I want us, because if we're replacing the leader of COSASA, let's have a system that is going to bring the right person to do that job. Because we actually do have them in Uganda. If you don't have a trust, if you have trust issues with, who did you say?
No, I don't have any issue.
Mugati Gwabata. Yeah. let's have a system that is going to bring someone who can actually do that. We have people who can do that job very well.
Clear on this point.
You understand?
No, my point was, let's leave Kantuntu's committee to first finish their task. So when they finish, because they want an extension. It was a request they made through the Speaker of Parliament that can you give us more ample time to finish up our report before the new committee comes in. So they're not saying we're not leaving office. They are willing to leave office anytime. But they want first finish the small tasks they're remaining with. Because first of all, they've covered about 80% of the Bank of Uganda probe. So they remain with about 20%. So let's give them time to finish up this remaining work, and they give us a full report. At the end of the day, we shall get a certified report. Because right now, trust me, once Munyagwa comes in and he gives us a report, then you'll be putting loopholes in his report. Once Munyagwa calls on other people, maybe like other actors who are engaged in this Bank of Uganda probe, then Ugandans will be questioning that. Why is Munyagwa, meeting this person maybe in this hotel? Why is Munyagwa very silent about this person? Why is Munyagwa interested in this kind of person? So let's give them time, because every institution or every project always times when they fail to beat the deadlines, they ask for extensions. So it was a request they made before the Speaker of Parliament. And I think this is not even a big issue to debate about, because they just need ample time to finish up the report, and we see the way forward if we can put these guys in jail and also to ensure that we get the assets.
Okay, the story is too long, and we want to thank the people who are watching us right now. Please send us your comments, send us your questions, your views. What do you think about the Kosase saga that's going on in Uganda? People don't want to leave leadership. Others are saying it's okay. So it's a very good debate that we expect, comments from you, questions from you. Tell us what you think about the Kosase saga that's happening in Parliament of Uganda. So, guys, I don't want to keep ourselves there.
Yeah, but again, before we go to that, I think the Parliament is so soft on these people, because I believe the Parliament has to pass resolutions to send these guys to jail, because there is no way they can come to the committee to answer questions when they're coming from their houses. They have to come from jail, because if they show you the mess they've put our central bank in, then trust me, we Ugandans, we have a problem. If it's not the top leadership, which is the president of Uganda, then I don't know who is to blame. Because if the president is saying that I've come to fight corruption, and they've showed you that these guys that are coming to the COMESA, to the Kosase committee, are so corrupt. They swindled billions of money, not shilling, not millions, but billions.
But the problem is, they are just allegations.
No, they're not allegations. They're not allegations, because if they tell you that right now, no, do you know who's owning the assets of Crane Bank? Because they told you that they passed on Crane Bank from to KCB.
Right.
You know, all Kampala Road. Trust me, you used to pass on Kampala Road or Ginger Road. You could see almost each and every building, Crane Management, owned by Crane Management. Then it's like still Rupareria was owning like 80% of the buildings in our Kampala.
Is it because he's a rich guy? He can have access.
No, that was syndicate. That was syndicate, because we all know that it still was being used by other people in different governments. And people have told you again that also once Museveni knew that Amama Mbabazi was coming was having interest in his position of presidents, then he had to ensure that they put pressure on Crane Bank. Because they thought that Amama Mbabazi was using Crane Bank to get his transfer of maybe the donations or funds from the Western powers to our country to defeat Mr. Museveni. So right now, because look at this issue, they were telling you that Crane Bank needed only 147 billion shillings to keep running. But again, they tell you that the Bank of Uganda sold Crane Bank at 487 billion. Then you wonder, where is the calculations here? Because if we trust the governor of Uganda, but this is simple statistics or economics. Right. You'd know that if the bank needs only 147 billion, then let's bail it out, so that it keeps running. And they're telling also that when they sold off this Crane Bank, stakeholders were not even involved.
Right.
So if you had assets, if you had maybe like shares, and they didn't engage you when they're selling off this bank to KCB, then it worries you a lot. Because right now, people are not aware of how much they're going to remain
let me take
to be refunded.
from KCB as we conclude that discussion, because it's going to be longer than what we wanted. So what's your take? What's your final take on Kosase and
on this point, I'm on Hillary's side. These people should actually come from jail to come and answer these questions. One, if they stay out, they are going to mess with the investigation. They have billions already in their accounts. You know, in Uganda, we have that funny system whereby if you have money, you can get wherever you want. That's why documents have been disappearing in Bank of Uganda. That's why documents in Bank of Uganda are not tallying with the document, with the Crane Bank documents. So, but if these people are closed in a prison or in a jail, they're not going to mess with the investigation at all. So, on that point, these people, the agendas, they actually messed up with our economy a lot. You think about the Crane Bank saga, and you wonder what else goes on, because that's the only thing that we know. That's what has been brought to the papers, to the public, for us to know. So you wonder what else is being done that we don't know about.
Yeah, which is a lot.
You understand?
Right.
So I support him. They should be they should be jailed up, and then they can come and answer just like anyone else, just like what happens in Uganda. Yeah, people like Bobby Wine have been arrested for many years, for many long periods of time without even coming to court for things that have no evidence at all. But here we have evidence. We know what's happening. These people should be put in jail. Yeah, and then, but I still insist.
Right.
We need, I know Katuntu is so good, but we need to trust the system. We need to move away from trusting human beings, and we put our trust in the constitution, in the policy, in institutions.
You know, when you talk about the constitution and policies, you've also talked about Bobby Wine. This has been two. One, has been a great year for Bobby Wine. Two, it has been one of the worst years in his life, based on, the political dynamics that are going on in the country. So this year we saw the rise of Bobby Wine, not only in Uganda, but to the international community. I want to start with here. You've been a great supporter of Bobby Wine, from the Free Bobby Wine campaign to where he is today. Before we go into the concerts and all that have just happened recently, what do you think about Bobby Wine's take in politics, the rise of Bobby Wine 2018?
Yeah, actually, I didn't just start working with Bobby Wine in the recent incident of Aroa. I started working with Bobby Wine in 2015 because in 2015, by then, I was working on a project called Up for School. We're trying to raise 10 million signatures all over the world. So we're calling on different political actors, the academia, the leaders, the politicians, the youth, the religious leaders, cultural leaders, name it. So I happened to meet Bobby Wine at his beach in Busabala, and he was the first Ugandan artist to sign our petition Up for School. Because by then, we were supposed to hand over that petition to the UN General Assembly at the UN headquarters in New York to the former Secretary General of the UN, Ban Ki-moon. So Bobby Wine is a champion of education, and I thank him so much for supporting our petition in 2015. So from that time, I've been following him a lot, and I believe, now back to your question, I believe, yes, 2018 has given us the bigger picture of who Bobby Wine is. Because in the beginning, we used to know him through his music, because he was singing about the suffering of Ugandans. He was singing about the situation, giving you the image of what are Ugandans going through? Because if you remember his song like Mongambire ku Jennifer, so he could give you you know, a scenario of how the former executive director of KCCA was mistreating the street vendors in Kampala city. Look at his song like Situka. He's calling upon all the Ugandans that do not sit in your comfort zones, yet we are on a time bomb right now. Get up and, you know, speak up and, you know, get a change that you want to see in your country. So that's the Bobby Wine that each and everyone is, you know, embracing today. And Bobby Wine, trust me, that Bobby Wine is a sign of hope to not only the young people, but to the entire generations of our country. I want to stop
you from there.
And
I want to stop you from there.
Yeah.
I want to hear from Kazio. What do you think about the rise of Bobby Wine? Before we go into Bobby Wine's details, yes. What do you think about the rise?
What I think about Bobby Wine's rise. If you talk about Bobby Wine's rise, you have to talk about two people. Because we have Bobby Wine, the artist, and we have Robert Kyagulanyi, the honorable member of parliament. Now, Bobby Wine rose himself through music. So it didn't start in 2018 like you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, we knew Bobby Wine way back. We have grown up with him. Him, Chameleon, and Bebe Cool. We grew up listening to their music. But Bobby Wine in the political arena, Bobby Wine, I would say, is a product of Museveni. Museveni is not letting us live our lives. It has come to a point whereby everyone now is supposed to be a politician. You get what I mean? So Museveni, in a way, was the reason why Bobby Wine rose. First of all, Museveni politicized music. He decided to use music to forward his cause, mostly in the campaigns. You remember when, first of all, he had Chameleon and Bebe Cool to sing on his lorries when he had so many movement buses on his campaigns. And later, he had a music song, Penkoni, come out. So music became a tool in what? In politics. Later, in the last election, he calls upon almost all musicians to have that Tubonge Nawe song, which was almost every musician came apart from Bobby Wine. Now, Bobby Wine was a celebrity, a big, we call them the big three. Bobby Wine, Bebe Cool, and Chameleon. So the moment you don't call Bobby Wine and you call everyone else, everyone is going to notice it. So Bobby Wine was put in, I would say, he stood out. He didn't blend in like everyone else. That's why in the Tubonge Nawe song, there are musicians we don't even remember. But we know Bobby Wine because Bobby Wine stood alone, and he stood tall, and he stood strong. We remember after that time, Bobby Wine goes to Besigye and even tries to comfort him and all that. So Museveni singled out Bobby Wine. But you must remember that where Bobby Wine grew up from. He grew up from the ghetto. He knows what the common people are, the suffering of the common people. He knows what it takes to reach these big offices. He knows what the taxes, for the lack of a better word, the stupid taxation system, the stupid road system, and he knows where all this is coming from. So Bobby Wine was in a way forced to come and be an advocate. I'm sure if Bobby Wine had been in a working system, he would have stayed playing his music. But then he reached a point whereby he had to come out and talk about these injustices. He had to come out and state why we need change, why we need Museveni to go. So, yeah, if we talk about Bobby Wine's rise to politics, I believe Museveni and the system brought about Bobby Wine's rise. And it's not only Museveni, I mean, it's not only Bobby Wine, but the point is going to come where farmers are going to become politicians, traders are going to become politicians, people in the taxi drivers are going to become politicians. And even people who want to do teachers have to be politicians for them to get some kind of relief from the many atrocities that are happening in Uganda.
Yeah, and also to add, like to add briefly to add on what my comrade Kaziwa said. You see, Bobby Wine, he has, changed our political arena so much. Because if you look at the past years, we've been having, almost like the same opposition leaders. Because we had Norbert Mao for years, we've had Kiza Besigye for many years, we've had Olaro Tun for many years, we've had Ken Luchams of Conservative Party, for many years. All those people, were beyond the age of 40. But for Bobby Wine, he has a unique case. This is a young man, so a young leader. And moreover, a young leader who's appealing to all generations, the young or the children, the youth and the old. And, Museveni has never faced such, a leader in his entire life since 1986. So to him, it was a shock because he never dreamt of, having a young person, trying to advocate for change in his country. And he has, put them on pressure everywhere. He has put all institutions in panic. Because today, if you go to the executive, they are panicking. Each and everything they're doing, you see they are making mistakes every day and night. They're making mistakes because they can't study the game change Bobby Wine has brought in the politics of our country today. And trust me, such a person is very, very hard to fight. So you see, Museveni is trying to find out what solution do I have for this young man? And he can't figure it out. So you see, he's a very big threat to these old leaders we've had in office. Whether it's the opposition, you see some people in opposition, they're trying also to fight him because they know Bobby Wine is also taking over the popularity they had. If you go to the government, also they believe that right now Bobby Wine is changing the mindsets of Ugandans, and they believe that very soon change is coming. So the government wants to leave people in extreme poverty, but Bobby Wine is saying time is up. Time is for change.
I think I want to go to the people who are watching us live on Facebook and the different platforms. There's some questions that are coming in, and I think this question would go specifically to Kazibwe. He's called Charlie Wanga UG. What we need is not someone who knows our pains. We need someone who knows what to do about our problems. We need strategy. I'm not understanding and not understanding of our problems. Now, you talked about Bobby Wine knowing the problems that Ugandans are facing and the pain, but people are like, we need a strategy more than the people. Thank you. Before, because when you go on, we've just received the latest news that Bobby Wine has been blocked to sing. Is it fair to you? What does that mean? Again, because there is a lot that's going on, whether he will be singing on the 31st or not. So tell us what you think, whether it's okay for him to continue singing or to stop singing and focus on politics. Tell us.
So the question, Jay, I'll tone it down. They want someone to give you a strategy, not someone who knows our pain. Now, this is my thinking on that. Bobby is not going to deliver Uganda to the promised land. No, I don't believe that. Like I told you, I don't want us to believe in, like from the beginning I told you, I don't want us to believe in personalities. No, I want us to believe in policies, structures, and systems, and I'm going to repeat it over and over again. So what we want right now is a person to get us from the wrong path we are taking and to put us on the right path. And I believe Bobby can do that. He's not going to do everything. And he keeps telling you that. By telling you, he's telling you that we are supposed to, all of us are supposed to I don't know how to translate to
get engaged. Or
yeah, to get engaged. I mean, we don't expect him to do everything and know everything. No. Me nze chenjagala ku Bobi Wine atuje ku wrong path je tutwala esawa zino atuteke ku right path. If Bobi Wine comes in as a leader, I don't want Bobi Wine to be there forever. If he comes and Mandela came for 5 years, na agenda ochitegera. We need Bobi Wine to come in, ateke ku right path, let him do some works and go away. And then tulete omuntu omulala. We need policies. We need to have we need to have policy that works. We need to believe in our law. We need a law that works. And Bobby has shown that he can do that, because ever since Bobby came into the parliament, he has been following the law. There was a time I was seeing his campaign, and he was in a certain mosque somewhere, and people were asking for goodies. He told them, sorry, because of the law, I cannot give you goodies. From then, he showed us that he follows the law. In fact, that's my friend here was saying that Museveni doesn't know what to do with people like Bobi Wine. The thing is, right now you can't track Bobi Wine. He beats you within the law when you are breaking the law. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So what we need is someone to get us off the wrong path, put us on the right path, and then we can start from there. We can start thinking about strategy. We can start thinking about structures. We can start thinking about term limits and everything like that. If we expect everything from Bobi Wine, we are wrong. He's a human being just like everyone else.
Yeah, that's right. And maybe
that's
also
a very interesting comment, because many strategists or political analysts have been actually talking about that. If people expect Bobi Wine to do everything, it's going to be impossible. Period. What does that tell you?
Yeah, and for my comrade Rangal, who was asking a question on Facebook, I think he has also to understand that we've given President Museveni 3 decades to solve the issues of young people, and he has failed to deliver. So what proof do you have that if you give him 7 in the next 15 years or 20 years, he's going to deliver? There is nothing. Because today, if we tell you that the rate of youth unemployment is at 68.7%, and young people are moving to diaspora or for greener pastures, and you are telling me that Museveni is going to get them jobs? We went to university, all of us here, and we know exactly what was happening in the labor force. You finish university and it takes you like 3 years to get a job. Even before you finish university, at times people are struggling to look for an internship placement. So looking for an internship placement is like you're looking for a job. Ugandans at the universities are failing to look for internships. You find someone who did accounting, but again you find them doing a security job in the Ministry of Finance. Then you're like, what's going on in our country? And here comes a young man who is self-made. He didn't get any assistance from the government. He's trying to provide employment opportunities. I'm talking about Bobi Wine. And the government is trying to fight him. Because Bobi Wine is employing over 200 young people. So if you go to his music production, the studio is employing people. If you go to his beach in Obusabala, it's employing tens of young Ugandans. And the president is fighting him. Then who is trying to come up with solutions to the problems of our country? Is it Museveni or is it Bobi Wine? Because you see, Mr. Museveni, he believes that in order for you to empower young people, you have to tokenize them. You have to give them handouts. But for how long are young people going to feed on handouts? Because there is no way. You can't sustain your lifestyle on handouts from the state. Brown envelopes will never empower any young person in our country, Uganda. But here comes a young person, a self-made young person, Bobi Wine. He's saying, no, let me open up a beach in Usabala, and I employ lots of Ugandans. And again, you're fighting him. Look at his recent concert on Boxing Day. You can't tell how much that guy incurred in losses.
Before you get there.
How many Ugandans failed to earn from that concert. Because people were trying to come up with petty businesses. I'm going to sell chapatis, I'm going to sell sausages, I'm going to sell candy, I'm going to sell...
I want to stop you from there. I want to stop you from there. I want to hear from the people who are watching us live on Facebook. The question we are trying to answer here, that our members who are watching us on Facebook, is should Bobby Wine stop singing and focus on politics, or continue doing both? Should Bobby Wine stop singing and focus on politics, or continue doing both? Send us your comments, what you think about it. Hilary, I want to take you back to where you stopped with the concerts and people, how people have lost jobs, because that's actually one of the things that we're going to focus on. What's your view? Because I think the government is doing the right part to stop Bobby Wine from, politicizing before actually 2020 elections.
The government is doing a total mess. That's a big, one of the biggest mistakes this government of President Museveni has ever done. And trust me, today you're seeing President Museveni, but trust me, it's not the one who is working. Uganda has turned into a military state. If you look at what happened in Parliament before they closed off for business for the Christmas break, you saw the arrogance of the Minister of Security, Honorable Eli Tumwine. He came up because they were talking about discussing the issue of Bobby Wine, and he called him an occupational hazard. But again, you're forgetting that that same minister, he has a side business, is into the work of arts. So his art gallery is working, it's earning him money every day, but it's denying a young person to earn for the survival of his family. General Eli Tumwine, his arrogance hasn't started today. You see, these things also, they've been happening years ago. If you remember very well, in the 1970s, during the era of Idi Amin Dada, you remember the gentleman, his commander who was called Abdel Nassul, how he made people eat slippers. That arrogance is coming back in the era of Mr. Museveni. Today, Eli Tumwine is calling someone an occupational hazard. Today, Eli Tumwine is also mocking us, the young people, that if we want power, we should go to the bush and fight. Where is our country going? Who has the power in our government today of Mr. Museveni? The president is tired. He has no power, he has no say. But it's his military people who are making the decisions. Trust me, whoever canceled the concert of Bobby Wine, it's not the president. That's Eli Tumwine. Because on that very day while he was in Parliament, you could see the position of the government. They were indirectly telling us he won't have a concert. But because we were short-sighted, we couldn't see that. But Eli Tumwine had already, stamped in it. There is no concert. You saw the Minister of Internal Affairs, Jejo Dong. He came to just confuse Ugandans. Yes, he can have concerts if he follows all the guidelines. And his manager, the manager of Bobby Wine is telling you, I followed all the guidelines you put up. The ones that are, environmental friendly from NEMA, the ones that are from KCCA, the ones from police, the ones from the fire brigade getting the ambulance, each and everything. But they had to block him at the end of the day. So for me, it just takes me back to who has the power in this country of ours today? Because the president has no say, I think. It's his men who are taking decisions. Because if you go to SFC, they're the ones taking over these things. Because you saw, now they're telling you that in Kampala, whenever you walk, like every mile you walk, you're going to find an army officer on the road. What's going on today in our country? They're telling you today that the police is working during daytime and the army is working during night times. So what's going on with our institutions? And the parliament is quiet about it. Who has the power? Look at the three arms of our government. We have the executive, we have the legislature, and we have the judiciary. But they are non-functional because one person, the president of Uganda, dictator General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has made them dysfunctional. Today the parliament passes resolutions. The police will say, no, you're passing nonsense. And we shall not enforce whatever you say. So, who should the police listen to? Look at the hierarchy. Who is above the other? Is this the police? Is it the legislature. Because if the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga passes resolutions, and they are telling you to free the concerts of Bobby Wine, just like any other business, any other members of parliament, parliamentarians who are working. Because look at Honorable Nandala Mafabi. He's an accountant. He has an accounting firm. It's working. Look at Kantuntu, or Jejo Dong, this guy who survived the accident.
I want to stop you.
He has a law firm. His law firm is working. Eli Tumwine, with his arrogance, the art gallery is working. So they are working as consultants. They are working as lawyers. But they are blocking this person from doing his side business.
I want to stop you from there.
We can't separate Bobby Wine from politics.
I want to stop you from there.
And before you stop me from there, let me just talk about this thing also. You see, just a minute, please. Because we have to understand very well. Because Mr. Museveni is an artist.
Right.
He has one song called "You Want Another Rap." Mpenkoni, Mpenkoni. Mr. Museveni can never be separated from the chairman NRM party, because if Museveni is telling Bobby Wine to differentiate between politics and music, can't Museveni do the same? Let him know the time to be the president of Uganda, the fountain of honor of our country. Can't you tell us that now I'm the president of Uganda? Can you tell us when you're the chairman of the National Resistance Movement Party? Can you tell us when you are the musician, the artist of Mpenkoni, Mpenkoni? And can you tell us when you're a civilian or a common man as a Ugandan? Because these are the things we have to answer. It's not a one-way thing. So let the president also separate himself. He has to know, if you're going to meet young people in Nalukolongo, are you meeting them as the president or as the chairman, NRM party? Because he's always mixing things up.
Here, I want to stop you from there and look into the statements that were made by these two individuals, Dr. Besigye and Bobby Wine. Bobby Wine first comes out to say, why are other people operating supermarkets and petrol stations non-stop? Then the following day, quote from Dr. Besigye, quote, "I'm just a vendor who operates with the Total. I'm just a vendor who operates with the Total." Let me go with Kazway.
Yeah.
These two individuals are the greatest now opposition leaders within the country called Uganda.
Yeah.
And the government, according to different people's views and ideas, they think the government does not stop Dr. Besigye's businesses as it does to Bobby Wine. What comes to you when you hear that?
So, Bobby Wine, stopping Bobby Wine's businesses. I want us to look at the bigger picture, people. Ugandans, you have to be really, really analytical with what's going on in our country. They are not stopping Bobby Wine's businesses. No. They are sending out a message. That's what they are doing right now. Their intention is not to stop his businesses, because Bobby, I'm sure, has a salary from the parliament. So Bobby is going to be all right. And he's a very creative chap who will come up with ideas to make money. No. What they are doing, they are sending out a message to anyone who's planning to stand against this dictatorship. They are telling you that if you stand against us, we are going to do everything possible to make your life miserable. We are going to imprison you, we shall beat you up, and then we shall try our level best to make you poor. We shall close down your businesses, we shall close down every income source that you have. That is the message they're sending out to everyone. So this is what's going to happen. Whoever has been working with Bobby Wine is going to, if they're not strong enough, they're now going to try to avoid him. If, for example, the person who's been supplying the sound, if you're the person who has been supplying the security, we saw it with the was it Nachivubo Nambole?
Nambole.
Yeah. He had the show, and he already had it paid for, and they had agreed. But then these people were threatened, and they decided to stay away from Bobby Wine. On the recent occasion when Bobi Wine is going to perform on, what's it called? The Kabaka end of year, Nkuka, we saw the Luda events manager. He came forward to say that we are not allowing the red caps, we are not allowing the red t-shirts, we are not allowing the red. So he tells you that he wants Bobi Wine to perform, which means he loves Bobi Wine, but he's trying to stay away from him. This is what they want. They want to create fear in everyone so that everyone avoids Bobi Wine, and they're telling us, others who are planning to do the same, to avoid it because they will make you suffer. Now, I'll go direct to your question, the one you asked me, why Besige's petrol stations are working and Bobby's are not working. Besige, Museveni knows what to do with Besige, like Hillary said. This is a new leader who's given people, Bobby is a new leader who has given people inspiration, who has given people hope, who has shown Ugandans that you can actually do it. Because he's doing it. He developed himself and made money for himself, and then he went into politics and is standing against the biggest threat in Uganda, the dictator Museveni. But Museveni has never seen Besigye as a threat, but he's seeing Bobi Wine as a threat. So Besigye can be allowed to work, but we cannot allow Bobi Wine to work. Why? Because Bobi Wine, we don't know what this boy is actually capable of. When he just came in, everyone was looking down upon him. But now they know he's actually the biggest what? Threat. Yeah, the biggest threat to their dictatorship.
I want to stop Kazure from there.
If you can say something about that business
sure.
of
Besigye. Reach out to the people who are watching us live on Facebook and other social platforms. We want to say thank you so much. But let me read this comment. I'm seeing so many comments and so many likes, and really we appreciate that. But we thank you. We may not mention all names, but let me read this from Asimwe Moses. It says, if it's true that Robert Chagulanyi is fighting for democracy, then he has got to change the tactics he's using from violence to diplomacy. Otherwise, he's going to be caught on a wrong leg and he will be broken down. The tactics he's applying now can only work if he is to pick arms and stage a war against President Museveni. Now, here I want you to start from there.
Yes, my comrade Asimwe, I would like to tell you that Bobi Wine condemns violence everywhere he goes. And in this today's world, we cannot use violence to get power from a dictator. We are going to stick to peaceful means only to bring a change we want to see in our country. So whoever thinks that as Ugandans who are so angry about a fundamental change, we're going to resort to violence, you're lying yourselves. We are going to stick to peace, any peaceful mean. And you see, when they canceled Bobi Wine's concert in Busabala recently on Boxing Day, remember his words. He told the people who were there that, can you stay calm? See, he was calling for freedom. Stay calm. There's no need of going violent against the police. Because he was telling them that the entire world is seeing the atrocities that this government is committing to us. So let's be calm, but change is inevitable and change is coming. So, Comrade Asime, the era of violence stopped years ago. Because if you remember very well, if Asime wants us to go back to the 1986 guerrilla war, 1985 guerrilla war that brought Museveni to power from Tanzania, we can't go through that. Things have changed. Today we're in the era of technology. And you see, this is another big threat to Mr. Museveni, because he has seen young people embracing technology, using technology as their weapons. Because today, technology is the only gun we have as young people. So we're not going to go and buy the AK-47, no. Just go on social media, use your Twitter handle, use your LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and speak up against this tyrant regime of Mr. Museveni. So let's always encourage any Ugandan who is there to use peaceful means to bring change in our country. And I believe it's very possible to get the change that we want, because I've seen very many Ugandans who are saying that Bobi Wine should turn violent. But there is no need of turning violent. We are a peaceful movement. Because Bobi Wine tells you, in a people power, we want to be peaceful every day, everywhere. So let's condemn violence, but let's embrace peace everywhere we go, and we shall get change. Because I've seen very many even motivational speakers who are blaming Bobi Wine with his calmness. Then you wonder what kind of motivational speaker is this? Because if then you were giving a message of hope as a motivational speaker, and today you're scaring people that this government can never be defeated, that this government has the guns. I mean, this nonsense of such motivational speakers should stop in Uganda, because I've tried to see a couple of them on Facebook, and I think they're trying to indoctrinate a wrong message to Ugandans. And I call upon all the Ugandans who are watching us to always embrace all peaceful means to change this regime of dictator.
So here you're talking about the government. And,
but back to the other issue of Bobi Wine and Besigye both having businesses.
This is right.
You see, with Besigye, because he told you, he came out and he cleared the air. He was telling us that he has a franchise with Total
exactly.
in Wandegia. And now you know that Total is a French company.
Right.
And Museveni fears the Western powers. So Museveni is very slow when it comes to fighting, the Western businesses, because he knows it very well that Total is a French company. He can't just wake up and say, I've closed Total. He knows what the Western countries can do to him. He knows what France did to Muammar Gaddafi and how he was removed from office. So he's trying to avoid such mistakes. That's why you see he goes very slow when it comes to issues of saying that Total, Wandegia, you cannot operate. Because these businesses are different. Now, Bobi Wine, his business is a beach where people go and have fun. So you can't compare both businesses in the same basket. And I believe as Bobi Wine, he has to be persistent with his message. Because they tell you that when the water passes through, the river water passes through the rocks, it's not because of its power, but it's because of its persistence. So it's only persistence that is going to bring us the fundamental change. And once we give up, then the president of Uganda is going to take us for granted.
Thank you.
So let's be resilient with our message of changing this government every day. Speak up every day. Call upon each other.
It's very hard today to talk about Bobi Wine and you don't talk about Bebe Cool. Viewers who are expecting us not to talk about Bebe Cool, but it's very hard lately not to talk about him. It's like during those days, it was very hard not to talk about Besigye and Kawesi. So there is a political play by the president, who I think is now the winner in this kind of situation. For example, he endorsed the concert by Bebe Cool, and other forces stopped Bobi Wine's concert from going on. And that was kind of like a success for President Museveni, because this was like the second time he's stopping Bobi Wine's shows, right? So what comes into your minds if I go to Kazwe, if the president is successful in stopping Bobi Wine's shows and his supporters there are going on, right? And nobody's demonstrating. What comes to you?
When you use the word success, you're talking about positive.
Right.
You're talking about Museveni winning.
Right.
No, I don't think Museveni won. I think he lost. And this is why. Always, when we come to these countries, we've been telling them that Museveni is a dictator. We've been telling them that this man is torturing people, he's killing off people, he's blocking people's businesses as long as you oppose him. And some of them have not been believing that. You understand? But Bobi Wine has put Museveni in a position whereby he's forced to do these atrocities on camera and on social media where the whole world is watching. So if you endorse someone's concert just because they have a yellow cap on their head, and then you stop another one's concert just because they have a red cap on their head, that's a clear message to the rest of the world. And the way you stop it also matters, because we saw police, which is supposed to protect us, you know, police, its main job is protect the human life and property. But it was police which was actually going to destroy people's property. They were spoiling Bobi Wine's property. And then they had put roadblocks. This is money we pay for in our taxes. You understand? But they're using our money to block us from prospering. They put like around 3 roadblocks towards the concert. People who are going to the concert were being harassed. They ask you for your identification, and then they ask you where you're going, and then they can't let you go. The neighbors around Bobi Wine's beach are scared. They don't know what's going on. They keep calling Bobi Wine, what's happening? Why is this like this? And the thing, why I'm saying Museveni lost is that now the world actually knows that Museveni is a dictator. They know that if you don't support him, he's going to torture you, he's going to beat you up, he's going to do all that. And in this way, Museveni lost. Allowing Bebe Cool to hold his concert is not giving Museveni any political value at all. It's actually allowing Bobi Wine to make a few monies for himself, and Bebe Cool make a few monies for himself and go home happy, just because he puts on a yellow cap. But to talk a little bit about Bebe Cool has been fronting a message of the silent majority. I'm sorry, but that's kind of annoying to me. How do you become silent majority? It doesn't even make sense to me. Why? If KCCA comes and blocks people from doing their job, if atrocities are going on in Uganda, if they are stealing, if Bank of Uganda, which is supposed to protect us, is actually stealing our money, if the police is beating up people, and then you're like, I'm silent. What do you mean you're silent about that? When these things happen, you can't go to work. And if you go to work, your money value is so low, it's embarrassing. You know, when we talk to some of the whites here, and they ask you, how much is $1? And you sometimes fear to even tell them, because $1 is almost 3,800 shillings. You understand? So when they tell you, now if I gave you $10,000, how much would that be? And you're like, that would be like 38 million. Can you imagine? And you tell me you are a silent majority? And Bebe Cool is fronting that idea, and people are actually following him, that for us, we must be silent and stay out of this. How do you stay out of that when it's affecting you directly? It's affecting the tuition you're paying at school. It's affecting the medical care. It's affecting the roads you drive on. It's affecting every aspect of your life. And you're silent? So you cannot allow a president to allow people who support him to hold concerts, and then allow another one not to hold concert just because they don't support him. Going back to my point, in these developed countries, they have policies. If, for example, the President of the United States, Trump, doesn't support you, it does not matter as long as a policy allows you to do something. We need to get to that level. So I don't think Museveni won. I think Museveni lost. And to add on Hilary's point, Ugandans, change is going to come. Change is coming. Go get that ndagamuntu. Go and participate. Be ready to vote. And there's nothing called silent majority, because everything is going to affect you.
I want to thank you from there. And I want to go back to the comments that are coming up from Facebook. Now, there is another comment that I think I'll direct to here right now. It's from Lennon Mwesgo. It says, I saw all this coming the day Bobby was arrested in Uganda, and he said that police can't handle it. And on comedy shows where he was singing and said, name Samba, I kicked the police officers in parliament. Now all the security agencies are trying to prove to him that we can't. So what comes into your idea, your view, when you hear comments from Bobi Wine, or especially on the shows, and police is now trying to prove to him that they're actually more powerful than Bobi Wine and all his supporters?
There is no point here, like to prove who is superior to the other. Because as we all know that there is impunity when it comes to our Uganda police. And they are working on orders from the above, that we all know the above is Mr. Museveni. So once Mr. Museveni gives a directive that go and tap this, go and tap, go and block this person or go and arrest this person, the police has no say. Because look at the recent, concert of Bobby Wine that was blocked again to Busabala. He went straight to the face of the police officer and he told him, can you look into my eyes and tell me why are you doing this to me? He couldn't look into his eyes because he was also feeling the guilt that he was like, I'm just sent. Because in his heart he knows it, that I'm just sent. I can't look into your eyes and tell you that I'm just sent by someone.
He knows what he's
because
doing
trust me, you're sending that police officer to cancel Bobby Wine's concert. But you don't know if the son of that police officer was the one going to sell chapatis on the concert of Bobby Wine.
Maybe he was doing his job.
No, he was, but on which orders? Are the orders fair? Because that's why we're talking about justice. So, because you're working on the orders from the dictator. Because they've made a call to your police station. Go to Busabala, take the members there, and block Bobby Wine from having a concert. So as the police officer, however much you see it's wrong, but because of your job, you have nothing to do. Because the orders are from the above, the president. Do you want to risk your life? Do you want your family to be killed because you've refused to do the mission? There is no way. So you have to abide by the orders from the above. So you feel pity for the police officers because they are being used. And they know the truth. Some of them also, they speak out and they're like, we are just being used. Just remember the history of Arua 23 on August 12 of this year. Because one of the officers refused to sign the paper to say that Bobby Wine had ammunition in the hotel. That's the kind of police officer who stands by the oath he took while he was taking over the office. Because he was, respecting his integrity. But again, for other police officers, they fear because they know at the end of the day, my family has to survive. So if I'm getting 300,000 at the end of the month and I have 4 children, I have to pay for rent, I have to pay for their health bills, and I have, I'm in this Christmas season. So I'm expecting a check at the end of, a payment at the end of the month. I can't refuse the orders from the above. So they are just being used. And, we're talking about also the issues like, because now, today, I think, yesterday, they were telling us that with the Nkuka event, they were denying people to put, they were refusing people to put on color red. That tells you something. Because if you look at the event that was in Chiwatule and people had yellow berets, and for you saying that you can't put on the red berets in the other event, then it shows you that there is no justice in these things. And if you say that the president won, then it speaks volumes. Because I don't see in any way how the president won this issue. Because trust me, for someone who loses money at the end of the day, and he stands strong, as Bobby Wine, we saw him, that's the person who wins. That's the fighter. He's ready to sacrifice anything, but to ensure that Uganda is rescued from the hands of a tyrant leader like General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And again, we have also to ensure that these institutions, because they are dead, we have to ensure that once we fight as Ugandans and we get rid of this government, we have to put back the rule of law. We put back the respect of our constitution, because today our constitution is dead. It's always being ripped whenever the president wants. Because today you look at even the president, he can just send his security operatives to storm the parliament, and they can pass any resolution they want.
Before you finish up, when you talk about the constitution, actually, let's go just a little bit there. Our sources tell us that there is nothing done illegally. When you look at the change in constitutional things like the amendment of the term limits, the age limits, it's done legally. The Constitution gives that provision for amendment. What do you say? What do you think about it?
See, if you are to amend the Constitution, then you have to put national interests first, not your personal interests first. So if you look at the founding fathers of this country, the USA, you see how they came up with a very strong institution, a constitution that is running for years and years. You see how they put the strike of balance between the three pillars of the government of the US. We have the Congress, it has its own powers. We have also the president, he has his own powers. And also the people, they have their own powers. So today, if you want to call for a war as a president in the US, you have no powers. That resolution has to pass from the US Congress. So you see the strike of balance in the pillars of the US government. But again, go to our Constitution. Because if a one man tells you that I want to rule your country for life, is that a national interest or a personal interest?
I think
if that person tells you that I want the MPs to have a 7-term limit instead of 5 years, but you're extending it to 7 years, is it a national interest or is an individual, you're prioritizing selfish interest of a few individuals?
Stopping you from there.
That's the difference. So we have to always prioritize national interests if we are to amend the Constitution.
I want to thank you, viewers who are watching us live on Facebook and other social media platforms. You mean great to us, and we thank you for sharing your comments and your views. Please keep on sharing the program. We are here every Saturday, same time, talking about the things that are going on in our country. You know, Uganda Crossroads, we look into the politics, and of course, sometimes we get a little bit into entertainment. That's why I started with Radio's Day. But there is a question here from Susan Nabuti. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. It says, what is the solution now? And I want to start with Kazibwe. What is the solution? What's the way forward? Because we've talked about Bobby Wine, we've talked about Museveni, we've talked about silent majority. It's almost the same cycle that we're now, looking into every day, every now and then. We expected maybe 26th Boxing Day, the shows to be there. Same thing happened like what happened in Nambole. So the solution is just still hanging, that we haven't come up with anything. So let me go with Kazwe. What's your view?
Most people in this world, they wait for the situation to deteriorate to levels where they have to resort to violence to find a solution. Bannayuganda balinga abalinze embeera eyononeka okusingako awo balyoke bagambe mbuno kakati tulina okukolawo ekintu okitegeera. I've realized a certain kind of trend, and I'm going to concentrate on the silent majority. The corporate world in Uganda, people who work in banks, people who work in telecom companies, people who work in big hospitals, they act like what's going on in Uganda is not like affecting them at all. You understand? But you find a person who gets a salary of 3 million paying taxes of like 1.2. In their account, they actually get 1.8. But on the payment slip, they write 3M. And that person is gonna be like, I'm gonna stay silent about this. I'm not gonna say anything or do anything. So what's the solution? What's the way forward? I believe we actually have the brains in Uganda to run our country. We do have the manpower, we do have the capability to run our country well. Me, I believe we need everyone, we need all hands on deck. We need everyone to participate in this. We need everyone to be involved. If you're doing anything in Uganda, do it to your level best. I do believe leaders come from God, but God gets leaders from you. You get what I mean? Yeah, if you're in Uganda, leadership comes from God, but God is going to get leadership from Ugandans. So if Ugandans are thieves, do you expect to get a leader who's fair? If Ugandans are corrupt on the grassroots, how do you expect to get a leader who's not corrupt? So we need to start from ground. We need to ask ourselves where we be or where we go. If you are a teacher, make sure you teach and you do your work actually, and not allow corruption in your profession. If you're going to construct a road, make sure you do it very well. A point, if we do that, a point is going to come when these people cannot bribe us, when these people cannot use corruption to forward their cause. You understand? If we are righteous and we do our things very well, the way things are supposed to be, I'm sure we shall get there. What I'm trying to say is, we need okwebereramu from the ground, tukole kintu ekituufu kye tulina okukola, and tujja kusobola okukola ki? Tujja kusobola okutuukayo.
Thank you. I think you're in line with Chiza Devi, who says the solution is getting involved. Here, what's your take?
Yes, to answer Susan's question, I think the first thing we have to do as Ugandans is to change our mindsets. We have to, believe that change is possible. As Nelson Mandela Madiba said, that it always seems impossible until it's done. That statement speaks volumes. It always seems impossible until it's done. So for people who are there discouraging Ugandans that it's impossible for us to defeat Mr. Museveni because he owns the guns, that's the wrong mindset that we have to change. So the first thing we have to do as Ugandans is to change our mindsets. Because once you change the mindset, then you can bring as many people as you can on board. Then you can strengthen your movement that is entailed at bringing the fundamental change you want to see in your country. So we have also to ensure that we change or we translate our messages in our local languages for each and every person to understand the message we're trying to pass on to Ugandans. Because as we say that people power, let each and every person, if possible, translate this message we're talking about each and every day in your native language, in your tribe, in your language, local language. If you are Lugbar, speak people power in Lugbar, so that your grandmother or your uncle, your sister, your nephew, your niece can understand it in their language. If you are Munyankole, you are in Tungamo, Ibanda, or speak Lunyankole, people power in Lunyankole, so that the people in rural areas can understand it. If you are in Busoga, Iganga, Idudi, Busembati, Omana, or Busia, speak in Lusamia, speak in Lusoga, so that they can understand the message of people power. If you are in Bugisu, use the Logisu, that the people can understand it very well. So once we translate the message in our local languages, because we have over 46 languages in our country. So if the message is translated to 46 languages, it's passed on radio stations in those local languages, then it's very easy for us to pass on the message. And again, the other thing also we have to do is to ensure that as the opposition, we come together. Because you see that we are getting divided. So there is need for, urgent unity as the opposition. Because even People Power is not a political party, but it's a movement. So we need to unite as one. Because with politics, it's all about numbers. Without numbers, you can't defeat the person you want to fight. So let People Power, let FDC, let JMA, let UPC, let DP all come together. Because you see, the person we are fighting is not is a person. Look at the recent iPod summit they had. They were talking about having a fair multi-party political dispensation. But just after a few days, you saw that what he was doing to his political opponent. Then you wonder, what was the need of having such an iPod summit in our country? Because if you discussed about, respecting each political party or each person who has different political ideologies to assemble or to do their concerts, then why are you blocking me? So President Museveni is like the French Bourbons who learned nothing and forgot nothing. Because if they spent about over 4 hours in the iPod summit to discuss about those things, and after less than 48 hours, for you changing your colors and doing the opposite, then it shows that with Museveni, dialogue doesn't work. Because we've seen those things even in the Moshi conference in Tanzania, 1957, in the 1960s. Museveni was not willing to listen. When they went to Kenya with the Okellos, still Mr. Museveni was not listening. That's why he came up with UPM, Uganda People's Movement.
Well,
because
yeah, here I want to thank you for that comment, and you still adding on, which is great. I want to go into what is happening on Facebook right now. People were responding as you guys were talking. There are many questions I see here. Most of them actually supporting you guys' ideas or points, which is really great. And the others, one person said you shouldn't even have talked about Baby Cool for silent majority, but this is a political talk show where we have to be fair to both ends. And I want to thank you so much for raising that up. Let's look into JB Mwange. He says they cancelled all shows where he was advertised to perform, but they failed to cancel Nkuka. And because they know the consequences, all Ugandans need to be confident in whatever they do. We shall only achieve all what we want if we join hands and come together, regardless of our differences, to build strong institutions that will curtail any sense of entitlement to Uganda. Now, this question or comment has been actually somehow rolling over social media platforms. People say that if Uganda supports Bobi Wine, nobody's going to sabotage his movement. Others are saying that he was betrayed. I don't want to go tribal. I don't want to talk so much about Uganda failing to do what. Everyone has their own responsibilities and we're the limit.
Yeah, right.
So, according to you guys, and I think I would pose this to Kazibwe, do you think Uganda coming to Bobi Wine or helping Bobi Wine as quote, he has been helping Uganda so much in the past years before he even became a politician, would be a solution for him to continue having his concerts?
Buganda and Bobi Wine, I would set it like this. Buganda is a power force. Buganda is an institution that has a big following. We've seen, you remember the Buganda riot? We've seen things like that, and the government fears institutions that has a following that big. So, Buganda, I'm sorry to say this because I'm a Muganda and I love my Kabaka. Buganda right now falls under the category of silent majority. In the past, institutions like that did not stay silent when things like that were happening. I remember you had a show here when someone was asking, where's the church? So that's the same thing. Where's Buganda? Because the people who are suffering, the people who Bobi Wine is actually fighting for, they are Baganda. They are Baganda, they are Banyankole, they are Basoga, Bacholi, everyone. But Buganda, with all that following and all that power, has sort of stayed silent on everything that is happening to Bobi Wine. So, true, if Buganda supports Bobi Wine, I think he will be given some kind of leniency. But then the problem with that, how will other tribes see it? You see, we need to strike a balance. We don't need Bobi Wine to be supported by Uganda. We need Bobi Wine to be supported by everyone in Uganda, by Ugandans. We need, if Bobi Wine's concert is cancelled, we need every musician to come out
and support.
We need every musician to come out and support Bobi Wine. Let me tell you, it doesn't matter whether you are in NRM. It doesn't matter whether you are a Muganda. It doesn't matter whether you are a Muslim. If they stop Bobi Wine's concert, the next day is going to be you. The next day is going to be if you go against the government and you have a shop in Chukubo, it's going to be you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we need.
Yes, we need just there is a very small technical problem, but I think you can get me as they are fixing something here. Well, it's true, and just as I say that we don't want to go tribalistic in nature for our discussion, but this is something that has been moving all over social media, and we were trying to go deep into understanding where the problem is coming from. Why is it not supporting Bobby Wine? But of course, there are some other people who say no. The Uganda region has always supported Bobby Wine. They've always moved to Bobby's shows and all that, which is really interesting and true. So we cannot blame either side, but it's the responsibility of the government of Uganda to come up and say something or do something about the shows of one of their greatest opponents. Many questions that are coming up. Let me first focus on Facebook now.
If I can say something briefly on that issue of Mwonge.
Sure.
Yes, I would say that this is not a quid pro quo issue, that is a give and take when it comes to the issue of Bobby Wine and Uganda. Because if we're talking about the kingdoms, you know very well that Obote had abolished the kingdoms in the 80s. And Museveni, claims that he brought them back. But again, they are under his government. So right now, the kingdoms are also extremely careful on the steps or positions they are to take. Because you can evidently see that these kingdoms are also pro-government in most cases, because it's the government that is funding the sustainability of these kingdoms. Because if you look at the Uganda kingdom, they're getting resources from the State House. If you go to the Bunyoro kingdom, they're getting finances also from State House. If you go to Busoga kingdom, the Chabazinga is also getting financial aid from State House. So right now, because they are looking at money or financial monetary gains from the State House, they are extremely careful to utter out any position to the public. And again, I would like people to know that it's not the kingdom that built Bobby Wine. Because first of all, it was the self-belief that Bobby Wine had in himself years ago. Because Bobby Wine made himself before the kingdom had to notice him.
Right.
Oh, so they saw him that, yes, he sings music of message, music of hope, and that's when they started giving him opportunities to attend on different functions. And again, this issue of Onkuka, you see that the organizers were very threatened, and they were telling Ugandans, do not put on any red color. And today, I think yesterday, you had the spokesperson of Uganda Police, Emilian Kaima. He was denying those allegations that I don't know anything about that issue of stopping people from coming with a specific color. And now, because the Ugandan government is very aware of the history of our country.
Yeah, sure.
Because if you remember the 1966 Uganda crisis, they know what Obote went through when he attacked the Uganda kingdom. Right. And again, the government also learned with the Bugatti crisis, because they know very well that if the government if the government gets involved, they can see the repercussions of the Bugatti crisis. And recently, they also saw from what happened in Kasese with the Mombere kingdom when it was attacked by the army. So they know the repercussions. And the government also fears the Uganda kingdom, so I think they should leave kingdoms too.
We're running out of time, and we want to thank everybody who has been part of the show. I'm going to give just 1 second to each of these guys to tell us his last remarks over the show and how you're seeing 2019. Just 1 or 2 seconds, and then you're done. Let me start with Kazu.
First of all, I would thank you to host me on the show. Thank you very much. How do I see 2019? I see 2019 as a year of change. I'll speak this outright. You asked us what's the way forward, and I told you about everyone getting involved. Guys, everyone, wherever you are, in the diaspora, in Uganda, whichever city you are, whichever country you are, in the villages, please get involved. And Hillary talked about mindset change. Yeah, we need to change our mindset. Ugandans, we need to know that we can actually do it. We can, I think, to put it in Obama's words. Yes, we can. And the last thing I want to say is in 2019, if we do that, we shall see Museveni going in
2021 or even before.
Yeah. Because, listen, you people. What we need to do, you asked us what we need to do, we need to change mindset and all that, but we need Museveni to go. Bana, Museveni akadie.
All right.
Listen, Museveni akadie. Tachalina jatutwala. Tachalina, these guys tebachafayo kunsiafe at all, like completely. Tebafayo, they have the money, they are very rich. Katichebali no kola boba gala remaining in power for that long, and you understand. So in 2019, we see the beginning of Museveni and his team to actually go. Quote me right. I'm not saying we don't need the old people, or the old guard. No, but we need people to be able to go. First, Museveni needs to what? To go. And all the people that have been there for that long.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Here let me go to you straight away.
Yes, thank you so much for hosting me again on this wonderful show, Uganda Crossroads. 2019 is going to be a year of action, as all political parties have called upon Ugandans to be actively engaged. So you're going to see all the young people being more than active, more than before, actively engaged in the political affairs of our country. Because young people in 2019, they want to sit on the table. They are tired of, being left from the table, being put aside of the table. So 2019 is a year in our country to put young people on the table so that they can talk about the political affairs of our country. And 2019, trust me, this government is going to be so aggressive on its political opponents. So many political activists are going to be ending up in jail. Many political activists are going to be killed. Many political activists are going to be forced to go into exile. So three things. You will be either in jail, you will be either killed, or you will be forced to go to exile.
Or you will be silent majority.
Exactly. But again, we have to stick to one message, because 2019 is going to be a year of resilience. Because we are not going to stop speaking up. So I call upon all Ugandans in all parts of the country, let's rise up and speak up. As you know, Bob Marley has this song that says that get up, stand up for your rights. So speak up your rights, speak up for your rights each and every day. Do not accept this minority to oppress us in any form. So always stand with any person who is standing up for our nation, because we believe that as opposition, if we come together, then there is nothing that is going to fail us to take our country forward. As opposition, when we come together, we are going to end the era of dictator General Kaguta Museveni. So I call upon all Ugandans, let's double our resilience come next year, because we can have a fundamental change that is peaceful in our country. Let's be peaceful, and I would like to say that Happy New Year and Happy 2019. Let's be one in 2019, and let politics unite us in 2019 than dividing us.
Let me start from where I started, where I stopped from. Let politics unite us rather than dividing us. We want to thank you so much. I'm David Luburwa. Just standing in for Alex, who's not part of us today again. We want to thank you so much for always watching our programs on Campfire TV, Uganda Crossroads. Next week, the ladies are coming back, so don't get scared. It's not a main show. No, next week, ladies are going to be here with us, and we want to say thank you so much. Keep sharing our programs, keep liking our programs. Join us every Saturday. Right now, we are so much focused on the weekends, but we're soon opening up brand new shows. Thank you so much. Have a nice weekend and a great week. See you 2019. Happy New Year.